Once upon a time, nestled in the heart of the city park, there sat a simple green park bench. It was more than just a place to rest weary feet. It was a treasure chest of memories. The bench bore silent witness to countless tales of laughter, whispered secrets, shared dreams, and the quiet, comfortable silence of companionship. Among its frequent visitors was a couple, a man and his wife, who made the bench their regular spot. The green bench cradled their love story, from the initial sparks of romance to the golden years of their marriage. They shared ice creams, exchanged stories, watched sunsets, and simply enjoyed the presence of each other. But as time passed, the man's visits ceased, leaving the woman alone. The laughter faded and the stories turned into silent sobs. The bench, once a symbol of joy and companionship, now stood as a silent reminder of loss and longing. With each passing day, the widow's heart ached more, the park bench becoming an unbearable reminder of her loss. The bench, once a symbol of shared laughter and lingering sunsets, now stood stark and empty, as if echoing her own solitude. As the days turned into weeks, her sorrow began to ferment into a bitter anger at the world that moved on, at the sun that still dared to shine, but most of all, at the persisting emptiness of the bench. It was during one of these stormy moments of rage that she grabbed a can of spray paint. With each hiss of the nozzle, she let her anger spill onto the bench. She covered the once vibrant green with harsh, ugly strokes, reflecting the turmoil within her. The bench was hers, it was their spot, and she wanted no one else to claim it. Yet, as she stepped back, looking at the vandalized bench, she felt a pang of confusion. Had she defended her memories, or had she defiled them? She was caught in a whirlwind of emotions. The spray-painted bench stood as a manifestation of her grief, her anger, and her possessiveness. It was a silent cry, a plea for understanding, yet also a barrier, keeping others at bay. In her grief and anger, she had turned the bench into a symbol of her pain, hoping to keep others away. One day, a little boy and his cat found solace on the graffitied bench. This wasn't just any boy, you see. He had a certain gleam in his eyes that spoke of innocence, and a cat that was just as expressive. They sat on the bench, their little sanctuary amidst the bustling park. The boy looked at the graffiti, his small fingers tracing the harsh lines. His lips moved, uttering a whisper too faint for the world to hear. But somehow the wind carried his words to the ears of the widow. "It's a pity," he said, "that someone ruined the pretty green color this bench used to have." Those words, simple and childlike, struck a chord with the widow. They echoed in her mind, stirring up a whirlpool of regret. She had let her grief morph into anger, and in doing so, she had marred the beauty of her cherished bench. The boy's words made her realize that her actions hadn't just affected her, but others who found comfort in the bench's presence as well. So, under the cover of the starlit night, the widow set out with a mission. She brought with her a can of paint, the same lovely shade of green that the bench used to be. With every stroke of the brush, she felt a piece of her anger dissolve, replaced with a sense of purpose and tranquility. Once the bench was restored to its former glory, she added a final touch. She left a small package on the bench, a snack wrapped neatly in a cloth. She hoped the boy would find it, a silent thank you for helping her see past her grief. In the stillness of the night, the bench stood resplendent in its new coat of paint, waiting for the dawn to reveal its transformation. The widow, looking at the bench, felt something shift within her. In her act of kindness, the widow began to see the bench not just as a reminder of her loss, but as a symbol of hope and healing. As days turned into weeks and weeks into months, the widow found herself drawn back to the bench. She discovered that grief, like a winding path, has its twists and turns, but it also leads to a place of peace. Her anger and regret gave way to acceptance and fond remembrance. It was the little boy's innocence that taught her to treasure the past, not fear it. In the end, the park bench stood not just as a reminder of love lost, but as a testament to the resilience of the human spirit and the power of healing.